Hello, everyone. Yes, welcome back to our next video of CUPPA CHAT, and we have got another exciting star from the stage, from the singing world, from the producing world today. I'd like to welcome to you all, William. Hello, William.
Hey, hello.
Welcome to CUPPA CHAT with GLJ Theatre. So happy to have you here.
So happy to be here.
Oh, good. Are you enjoying lockdown? Is it all exciting or boring like everyone else?
It's just never-ending excitement. I watch the Netflix and I do the yoga and I do the baking, and that's about it.
Well, you're ticking every single box then, aren't you? You're ticking
Oh, I know, you
lockdown
got it.
boxes. Have you
Yep,
made banana
exactly.
bread yet?
Oh, that was like first, but I was making banana bread before it was cool, so it was.
See, this is where
I've
the
changed
trend
to.
is.
I have a focaccia recipe open on the table right now that I might attempt after we're done this call.
Oh my word. Well, I can see you've got your cup of drink as well. So what have you got in your cup today?
I have turmeric tea, which is very good for you and also is quite tasty. And it's in a mug that says, "I love annoying you. It's my favorite hobby," which my boyfriend got for me because it's his favorite hobby to annoy me.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, I'd say this a lot with Laura, that I like just to annoy her. I think that's why we're together for, to be honest. I just like to
Mm-hmm.
annoy her all the time. I've
Exactly,
decided
that's
to
what you
go
need.
with the Jewel mug today and blackcurrant again. A bit
Oh,
boring,
blackcurrant,
but
always a good choice.
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. So thank you for coming along today. We've got lots of questions that have been sent in to us for you from our members and our team. And everyone was very excited that you were a professional singer. That was like a good point. So every guest for the CUPPA CHAT, I like to make them a little bit of an invention that you might be able to use in the future as we're going along. So this is because I know when you're a singer, if you lose your voice, it's the worst thing in the world. So this is the this is the voice catcher keeper. So what you do is you sing into, it's not a jug and some tinsel. This is serious. You sing into the jug, and then what you do is you get this little cup and you pour it in there. And then when you need to, you put the lid on. If you lose your voice, you then sip it up and you've got your voice back.
Okay, so it's saving your voice for another day. So just in case.
This
It's
is
like
it.
storing it up. Oh,
Wouldn't
it's
this be
amazing.
perfect?
You could just stockpile all voices, and I mean, it's just basically like Ursula with a bunch of shells. It's perfect.
I mean, that is true. I wasn't going for the Ursula approach, but I can see what you're saying. So,
I
I
mean,
mean,
she had something going for her. I mean, she may have gone through the wrong means for it, but it was a good idea. It was a good
it was.
idea.
See, and this. See, I'm mistaken, Will. People just think that I make these silly things at the start of every episode, and actually, I'm quite a serious person, just like Elsa. So I'll send that to you in the post if you want it, because I think
Thank you
it could
very
come in
much.
handy at some point.
It will, yep, fit right in with all the other boxes getting shipped over right now. So
Yes,
I'll
because
display it proudly.
where you come from? Because you're not from the UK. Tell everyone, where are you coming from?
Okay, so I'm originally from the United States in Washington State, kind of a Seattle area. And then I also lived in Vancouver, Canada for 7 years. I'm a dual American Canadian. My mom's Canadian, dad's American, so get the best of all the worlds. And then I've been living in the UK for just over 2 years now. And I just got back actually like 2 weeks ago. So I'm back in London again.
Yay! We like you back in London. So as I say, we've got 15 minutes to ask you as many questions as possible.
Great.
So I'm going to start the clock now, and we're going to start off with a question that came up a couple of times when we were asking our participants and our members for questions. It's a bit of a strange one, I suppose, to start with, but did you always want to be a performer, or did you have a backup for what your plans were going to be if you didn't make it as a performer, an actor and singer and whatever else you do, because you do lots of stuff?
Lots of stuff. I did not think I wanted to be a performer for the longest time. I didn't do anything, didn't do acting, didn't do singing, anything at all until I got into high school. So I was 15 years old when I very first sang. Like I grew up in the church, and like I would even lip sync in church because I was like too afraid of singing. And then I decided to do a musical for some reason in high school and got in and just got the bug from there. But no, I didn't think that I wanted to continue on with it after high school. So I went into university as a biology major, and I was going to be
Oh,
a dentist.
oh,
And I lasted one
wow.
semester with that and realized I really didn't like it. And then I switched to theater, and yeah, I decided I wanted to be an actor in my second year of university and did the acting program, and I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting. And
Okay.
yeah, so it was a slow growing process for me, but no, performer was not on my radar until I was like 20.
Mm. So actually, that in a way, if there's anyone who joins and who's watching now that maybe has started theatre a little bit later on, so like as a
Yeah.
teenager or even a young adult, it's still not too late. Is that what
Oh,
we're going to get from
absolutely.
you?
So I've worked in children's theater like you do, and I would be either acting alongside other kids or I would be directing them, and I'd be looking around and thinking, didn't even start until I was 5 years older than these kids are now, and they are knocking it out of the park. Like it's
Mm.
insane. But like here I am doing it professionally, and like the very first time I even attempted it was when I was 15, and didn't even start actually doing it till I was about 20. So yeah,
Mm.
absolutely still hope. Dance classes, I'd recommend starting as early as possible as a non-dancer, but
We're both
um,
in the same boat.
yeah,
I
but
can't say that it was my favorite, but I agree with you that you have to
yeah.
start your dance early,
Mhm.
um, because
But
it does
otherwise,
help.
you got to work really, really hard when you're an adult, which is what I'm learning. And it's hard, but you can do it still.
I don't like to bring up official stories, but there is me and you doing the warm up at Panto. We used to have so much fun. Will used to be very serious, everyone, and got
Mm.
and did it properly. I used to stand at the back, sort of doing pretend star jumps and things like that. But don't be like me. Be like Will. Do it
Mm.
properly.
Very serious with it.
Yeah.
The
Um.
most serious of Panto members.
Oh, but this
Okay.
is it. This is it. Um. Another question that came up, which so we've sort of spoken about how you got into acting, but how did you
Mhm.
become a producer? Someone said. I'll let you start with
Yeah,
that, and then I'll do the next part of the question in a
great.
second.
Good question. So, producer, if people don't know, that's basically when you're the person that puts together everything. So you're like, okay, I want to find people who are going to direct this, and I want to find people who are going to help fund this and help get the space together. So basically, you're the person that's organizing absolutely everything for it. I think it mostly just came about because a couple of friends and I were not really working and wanted to work, and it was while in London, and 2 years ago, and we're like, we should just do something because none of us are working and all of us want to work. So we all just produced a show together, and we did a 4-person musical, and we did it for the Camden Fringe Festival. And I think we were one of the only Camden Fringe shows to actually make money, which
Oh,
is
that's good.
wild and
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So it can be done. I mean, even if it's £50, it's
It's
still
still a
something.
profit. It's still a
It's still a
profit.
profit. We didn't lose money on it. Yeah, so that was my first official, but I'd also produced cabaret concerts in Vancouver, Canada. I did like a big going away concert before I moved to London, and so I've produced that and put it all together.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it just basically came from there not being work and me wanting to do work and just finding a market and stuff that wasn't being done. So just kind of turned into that, and I have continued on a little bit with it.
Mm.
It's hard, and I can't say it's my first love as far as the arts go, but when you want to do something and you're not either getting cast or like there's just nothing happening like it's happening right now,
Mm.
producing is a great way just to get the ball rolling and really get you going onto something.
Yeah, and I mean, and the other part of the question I think carries on what you were just saying is, what would you recommend, sort of to do if you want to become a producer? So I think people, especially young people, think that when you become a professional actor, you're always going to be on the telly, you're always going to be on stage. And as you say, there's going to be those times where you haven't got those work. So maybe this person who's asked this question is thinking outside the box, which is quite clever. So what would you recommend? How do you get into producing and doing it? It's
Learn
hard.
how to ask. It's hard. It's very hard. And for someone who doesn't like asking people for things, that's all of what producing is asking people for things and asking people for money and asking people for spaces and asking people to join on projects. So it was a big self project of learning how to ask for things and just kind of be a go-getter when sometimes that can be a difficult thing to do. Sorry for my quarantine hair. I've got lots of it that I keep on trying to brush away.
We're all in the same boat. I'm lucky that Laura just cut half of my hair off, and I've got like one bit that's long and one bit that's short now. So it's absolutely fine.
Fantastic. Yeah, but just don't be afraid to just ask people for things. You never know who you get on board. And I produced and wrote a radio play that came out during lockdown back in September. And I just asked people if they were interested, and I got a West End star, I got a Broadway star, I got a film star, like all on board, and are my actors for it. And so it was like, okay, I guess people just want to say yes. And so yeah, you definitely learn to think outside the box and everything. So
do you think it's easier for young people to maybe write something if that's an interest of theirs as well, and then go, even if it's to friends to start with, that's still, you're still putting on a producer hat going, come and join me? Is that the type of thing that might work?
So as someone who has produced something that I've written, it is the cheapest way to go because you don't need to pay royalty rights on it. Because usually if you are producing a show that's already been written, then you need to give money to who the original writer was, which is great. That's how they make their money as a writer. It's fantastic, but it can get expensive. So if you're on a really strict budget, going for an original piece of writing is the way to go. And it's a great way to test out your skills with it. I am not a self-proclaimed writer, but this was just a project that I had kind of ongoing that I just worked on, and I learned a lot from it, and lots of edits as I went through, because I was like, oh, this actually works so much better if it goes like this. So yeah, producing your own work or a friend's work is definitely the best way to start, because then there's a lot less cost involved, which is the scary part of producing.
Well, hopefully that's helped if someone's interested in that side of it, because we've got a few budding directors as well. And I know it's not exactly the same, obviously, but
that's what I wanted to start out as. Was
I think that's what people, they think they've got the control, which is nice, and you can be the creative person, which is one of your skills. And another one of your skills is singing. And you've been sing. Have you sung on TV? Is that right?
I have, yeah. So I was one of the contestants on the TV show Sing On, which is on Netflix. It came out just last year, which is a karaoke game show. So check it out. It's a really fun show. There's 8 episodes. I'm on episode number 8. I won't tell you how I did because I'll go see and watch that. But it's not a singing competition how the X Factor or American Idol is of who's the best singer. It's how accurately can you hit compared to the original artist. And so it's a lot like when you were playing Rock Band and you've got those different notes that you're trying to hit on the microphone. It's basically that, but really, really, really accurate with a computer analyzing the exact tones. So that was my singing thing. And then I've also done flash mobs professionally all around the UK with a flash mob company. I've sung in cabaret concerts and fundraisers. And
well, someone's question was, what is it like to perform on TV compared to stage? Is it different?
It's different for sure, because it's a very different energy. Because instead, I was lucky with Sing On because it was like singing on stage, and there just happened to be cameras because we had a live audience coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so we had a live studio audience, so it felt a lot like singing on stage and basically doing a big rock concert, which was amazing. But having the camera there, and then also you'll have lots of breaks in between. So when you're doing a live production, you need to have everything kind of go straight through pretty seamlessly, otherwise people lose interest. Whereas with film, they'll like do a song and then it'll be like, okay, and then cameras turn off and like people get their water, people like kind of like reset to do a different angle. And so it's a lot of stopping and starting when it's on film. Yeah,
because I think unlike theatre, when because we obviously do shows with the young people that are watching, and you know it's doing that sort of you've got to pace yourself, don't just give it all out on the first song. I suppose on TV, as you say, you can stop and go, nope, I need a drink, or you know you've got a bit of time in between.
I mean, with the game show, you couldn't stop halfway through, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have utilized that a bit more.
Well, no.
but yes, it's a similar thing. So the host is Titus Burgess, who you might have seen in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, or 30 Rock, or quite a few other things now. But yeah, like sometimes he'd be like, oh, didn't like how that came out, and like they do a retake and everything, and it's like, it's amazing. And he knew exactly how he wanted to sound, exactly like if a joke landed, he'd be like, that didn't land, so we're going to do that again. And he was an incredible professional to just kind of observe on TV. He just knows himself and knows how TV works. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. And we'll fly through the questions because I've got a very special guest that's going to come and visit you after this question as well. So
exciting.
I don't get too excited, Will. She comes in and just labs for about 30 seconds and disappears. But anyway, let's give you another one. Do you, we'll keep on the singing subject for a second. Do you have a favorite song that you sing at auditions, and why is that your favorite song? Someone's asked.
Oh, good question. I have a couple that I really like. I have one that I do every now and then. It's one of my kind of golden age shows. So like it's the Rodgers and Hammerstein. So same as the King and I Sound of Music, all those. So it's from a show called Me and Juliet, and it's called That's the Way It Happened. That's the Way It Happens. And it's just this kind of like fun, jazzy, sits exactly in my vocal range ability, and this kind of high baritone. And it's like, it's cute, fun, short minute song that tells a whole story from beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
And whenever I sing it, people are like, I've never heard that before. That was so much fun. Anytime at an audition, there's a time and a place for that one, because most auditions are looking for pop songs these days, which is not where my voice naturally sits.
No.
And I've been learning how to do it.
I laugh because the last like 5 auditions I've had is, can you sing a pop song? Do I look like a pop singer? I mean, come on. I mean, no.
Oh, come on. You're like Sam Smith.
Oh, shake so. Right. Let's get this over and done with. She wants to come in. It's the one and only Laura.
Yay! Hi, Laura.
Don't big her up, Will, for goodness sake.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Right, what's your question?
I have a question of what would be your ultimate character to play, either stage or screen?
Oh.
Since I was 12 years old, I've always wanted to play Marius in Les Miserables. That was just, I saw a production of it in high school, and I'm like, that's who I want to be, what I want to be. And and that was like 3 years before I even did my very first show. And so that was a big one for me that I've still yet to check off. So I think once I do that, I'll be like, okay, I can find a new goal now.
Have you got one for TV? Have you got anything for TV you'd want to play?
Oh, like something that's already there. I would love to do something in the Harry Potter universe.
Yes.
I love it. 2 of your favorites.
I know.
Yeah, if they do like another prequel or do like a later movie, something like that, like I would love to do something in the Harry Potter universe.
Cool.
No specific, but
no, just anything.
anything. Yeah. Gosh, I'd be like Death Eater #4 who gets killed right away. Like, I don't care.
Oh, well, thank you, Laura. That was actually quite a good.
That was a very good
That was
question.
quite a good
Thank you.
question. That was right. We've got time for just a couple of like quick fire questions. I'd say quick fire because this one comes up a lot in people's questions. But I thought you were the best person to maybe ask this one too. So let's see if you can help us. Someone's put, when starting out, it's really hard to get noticed. What would you recommend to do to get noticed? Do you always need an agent, or is it just being in the right place at the right time?
Oh,
that's about $1 million question, isn't it?
It is. I didn't have an agent for the first 2 years or first year and a half after graduating university. I was in Vancouver at the time, which is a lot more of a smaller community if you're doing theater. There's a really big film scene. Basically, you can't do film unless you have an agent because they only send casting breakdowns to agents for film. But theater, you can kind of just sneak your way through. It's a little bit different in London. You've got a little bit more access if you're in London, though. So theater-wise, for me, I was on my own, fresh face, but they were really excited to see a face that they'd never seen before because I didn't go to a musical theater college. I went to I did an acting program. And so they had this fresh face man in, in musical theater that they were excited to see. And I was like, just talented enough to kind of scrape by at the early stages where they're like, okay, lots of potential. We can work with this. Yeah, but just being a really good person goes a long way because people don't want to work with people who are divas. And if you are a diva, everyone knows each other and they'll be like, oh, not a fun person to work with. Don't work with them again. So just being a nice person goes such a long way. And I've especially seen that since producing my own work of like who's been nice to work with. And also when you create a good collection of friends from doing lots of shows where you really get on, you can do so much more. And like just from being a good person to work with on one show, I got 5 shows after that just because everyone who was in the show. So be a good person, put yourself out there. What do you got to lose?
I think
the worst they can say is no.
I think that sums up the whole business. You just said, be a good person. That's what it is. You don't need to be horrible. You get enough, as you say, divas and so on. Be a good person. I like that. That's going to go on our Facebook page. Be a good person. I like
Be a good person. Put yourself out there. The worst they can say is no.
Fair enough. Someone literally messaged us and said, Will, tell us a secret from backstage. Go on, tell us a secret from anything.
Oh, gosh.
Nothing too secretive, obviously, but... I suppose maybe
something
the question...
I was surprised about, especially the further... I'm going to interpret this question as I can.
Yeah, go on.
Because it's pretty vague. Something I was surprised about, but the more professional theater I got, which I've done everything from community theater, children's theater to opera, and the more professional it gets, the more fun people tend to have backstage. And like usually not unprofessional or anything like that, but just like little jokes or anything. And I did a production of Mary Poppins in Vancouver, and our Mr. and Mrs. Banks weren't on stage for a good portion of the show, so it was a lot of chorus numbers, and specifically on Let's Go Fly a Kite, our Mr. and Mrs. Banks would be in the wings and have a picnic blanket and snacks and would sit there and watch us while eating and like waving to us as we're like all like flying our kites in the distance and everything, looking upstage, and they're just like, like this 40 and 60-year-old woman and man just like on a picnic blanket like little kids and just like fun things like that. So that happens a lot more, which I was quite surprised at. Like just the more comfortable people get where they're like, we can be professional and make sure the show functions without disrupting it while still having some fun.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And let's have one final question, which is a bit of a fun one, I suppose, to finish on, is which celebrity would you like to play you if they made a film about your life? Who would you have? Who's your celebrity actor?
My friend always tells me that I look like James Vanderbeek from Dawson Creek.
Oh, okay.
And he plays himself in Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, which is what I've seen him in, and I've seen a little bit of Dawson's Creek. You'll look him up and you'll be like, oh yeah, okay. So I'm like, oh, especially with the long hair in the middle part, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm giving that full 90s rom-com right
There's
now.
nothing wrong with a 90s do at the minute.
Yeah, so that's the one I've gotten the most recently.
Okay. And is that who you'd want to play? If you could have anyone in the world, is that who?
He's pretty good. I mean, if I were to get anyone in the world, I mean, I always love Hugh Jackman's work, but I think that's just, I could never. I'm blushing now.
Oh, look, he's blushing. Oh, well, that's a good note to finish on. Well, thank you, everybody, for sending in your questions for Will. I'm sorry if we didn't get to ask your ones, but there is loads of fantastic ones, and hopefully you've got something out of this as well. Will, we, at the end of every Cuppa Chat, like to do a little game with our guests, and you are no different, mister. So we are going to play a game. We're going to give you 30 seconds on the clock to name as many drinks as possible, okay? And that could be any drinks in the world that you enjoy. You can have 30 seconds. It's as easy as that, okay? There is someone in first place. Our lovely Victoria from the Mousetrap is in first place. She's got 26, so you can see if you can beat her so far, okay? I'm going to give you 30 seconds, starting from now.
Okay, water, tea, coffee, latte, cappuccino, flat white, gin and tonic, Perrier, vodka cranberry, an IPA, lager, pilsner, pale ale. Sorry, I used to be a bartender. Pim's Cup, Prosecco, Bloody Mary.
Oh, that was quite good. I was quite impressed. I was looking up at Laura and about to say, we know what Will's favourite drinking is, don't we? All those alcoholic drinks.
I never even said wine.
You never said wine?
I never said wine, and that's usually my go-to there. Of like, yes, I just want to sit down.
Well, you did quite good. There is 2 people in the race at the moment, and you are in second place because you got 15 right.
Second out of 2. Amazing.
Second out of 2. So our lovely Victoria from the Mousetrap is still in first with 26. But you know what? Victoria. I think that you've done quite well there. And I think you could be in second for quite a long time, at least a day until the next video comes out.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna just wish bad internet connection on them so that I stay in second.
Oh, well, thank you so much for talking to us today. It's been absolutely fantastic.
This is so much fun. Thank you.
It is. It's just been a bit of a chin wag, and hopefully you guys at home have been able to learn something from it as well and to get a little bit of advice from Will. We give him a big round of applause. We say thank you so much, and we'll see you soon, Will. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.